5:35 better? 5:35, rather, 1 second. All right. Ooh, I can't see myself. Am I in the frame?
You look
Okay.
fine. Yes.
Thank you. Hey, hi, everybody. Welcome to the October General Meeting of Solidarity Lowell. And a reminder that this meeting is being recorded. Okay, our meeting guidelines. This meeting is being recorded and will be put on YouTube and on LTC. By staying in this meeting, you consent to both. If you want to speak, please use the raise hand function in Zoom or just type an asterisk into the chat if you can't find the raise hand function, and we'll pay attention to that and call on you. Timekeeper is Ryan Hamlin. Please be mindful of time limits. And your stacker is Marissa DuPont, corner of the screen there. And she'll be paying attention to who raises their hand and in what order. And let's see, where are we at? Captions are available, which means to skip ahead, we all need to remember to speak slowly. In fact, I will slow down a tad. We run our meetings with a step up, step back policy. So basically, we want to hear from everyone. We want everyone to feel comfortable. So if you haven't been saying a lot, we invite you to please step up and make yourself known. If you've been talking a fair deal, consider taking a step back and letting somebody else have their say. And we always assume positive intentions from everybody. And also, if your words do cause hurt, if somebody is hurt by someone else's words, they would say, ouch. And the person that did say those words would want to be accountable and say, oops. And they could have as much of a conversation as either of them feels comfortable after that to try and resolve it and not let it fester and hang out there. And as I said, please, let's all remember to speak. Plenty of time. Okay. All right. So on to our agenda, 5:30 or 5:30-ish. We are just doing some brief attendee intros and a land acknowledgement. About 10 minutes after that, we'll move into an intro to SL and our news and our committee updates. And 5:50 is where we'll get into our allied organization updates. And that's where if you're here from another group and you want to let us know at an event or something that your group is doing, so that would be the portion that you do in the allied group updates. And then at about 6 o'clock, we'll have our featured speaker, which is Will Rosenberry, the new director of elections for the city of Lowell. And we look to wrap up about 6:55. So, all right, I'm gonna sit down. Okay, so let's start off by getting to know everybody. I think I'll call on everybody in the room and then I'll pass it over to Marissa, who can call on the people online because I can't see everybody. So thank you for the thumbs up there. So we would like your name, your pronouns, where you live, and your favorite Halloween costume. So I will go first. Amy Baranowski, my pronouns are she, her, hers. I live in the Acre, District 4, kind of by the baseball stadium over there. It's not really a defined neighborhood, I think. Love Halloween. It's hard to pick. Probably the favorite one I've worn recently was after the 2020 Ghostbusters movie came out with Kate McKinnon, and I wore that costume, and that was great because I loved that movie. And that is my hot take on that. So
my name is Ryan Hammond. My pronouns are he, him. I live with Amy in the Acre, and my favorite Halloween costume that I've ever worn is Jean Belcher from Bob's Burgers. Amy was Louise Belcher, and Marissa was Tina Belcher. My favorite I've seen someone else wearing recently. I saw someone dressed up as the Mothman, and their partner was the leg lamp from A Christmas Story.
Very good.
all right, Paul.
I'm Paul Gaudette, he, him pronouns. I live in the Highlands. My favorite Halloween costume is politically incorrect. It's the one I remember from when I was about 7 years old. And my parents dressed me up in a plaid shirt with a broom handle over my shoulder and a bindle to look like a hobo. And they blackened my face with a burnt cork on the stove. And that's
Yeah.
a warm memory, but politically incorrect now.
I'm Ryan Oates, pronouns he, him. I'm in Tucketville, and I'm currently planning, we're doing a couple's costume of Luke and Lorelai from the Gilmore Girls.
Nice.
Great.
Jeff?
I'm Joseph Boyle. I'm on the SLCC, pronouns he, him. I live in the Highlands, and I'd say, looking back, my favorite costume one year, I dressed up as a wizard. And I actually had a robe. I wore my Catholic altar boy robe and turned it into a costume. It's pretty cool.
Ron?
I'm Ron Peastree. I'm also on the steering committee for Solidarity Lowell. I live in Centerville. And if you want to find out what my favorite Halloween costume is, you got to come and vote early because I'm going to be running the polls on election Halloween, and I will be wearing my costume.
Nice.
Get out the vote.
Mitch?
Yeah, nice Ron. My name's Mitchell Pollan, he, him, I live in the acre. My favorite Halloween costume was, well, I got married on October 28th. And my Victorian gentleman wedding outfit was what I wore. The Halloween event subsequently for the weekend. I really like that.
Cool.
Okay, first Upperman, pronouns she, hers. I live downtown. I only met Halloween after I moved to this country because, so I have no childhood Halloween memories. So I only got into it when I had children. And then I was always the Wicked Witch of the West. Long black dress, black pointed head, and I painted my face green. So I was fully into it.
Wicked.
Nice. All right, we're all set here.
Okay.
Marissa?
I'm Marissa DuPont, she, her, hers. I live in South Lowell. My favorite costume, I bought part of it, but I think it still counts. It's Totoro from My Neighbor Totoro, the Miyazaki movie. And it's a really nice fleece hoodie with the Totoro ears and belly. And then I have actually a Totoro face mask. And then I made the legs with the tail and the hands with the claws. And I have an umbrella that looks like a giant leaf. So it makes me really happy. I like wearing that one a lot. All right, next, Felix.
Thank you. That's a very cute costume idea. My name is Felix. I use he and they pronouns. I live downtown Lowell. And my favorite Halloween costume generally is David Byrne with his big suit because it's recognizable and really funny. But the greatest one I ever wore was a military uniform, which is endlessly hilarious for me.
Nice. John Grossman.
John Grossman, he, him, I don't like dressing up and wearing costumes, but I have noticed that sometimes I dress in a way which scares people without intending to do so. There were years back when I lived in Boston and would knock on doors in African-American neighborhoods in Roxbury and elsewhere. And I was a little heavier than I am now and younger, and people would think I was a cop. And now pretty much most of my adult life, every day I've dressed up as a union organizer, and I've noticed that scares a lot of people too.
Judith, you're next.
I am Judith Durant, she, her. I was a costume designer by trade for a lot of years, so I don't really participate in how I don't have kids. I'm not into it. But the favorite costume I ever made for a friend of mine was a Carmen Miranda for my friend Tommy in San Francisco, who was doing drag shows at the time. And I have the costume now, and maybe I'll pull it out sometime.
You definitely should. Victoria.
Hi, I'm Vic Boys, she, her. I live in downtown Lowell. I love making my own costumes for Halloween. And last year I pulled off Weird Barbie, played by Kate McKinnon in the Barbie movie.
Nice.
Awesome. Will Rosenberry. Will, you are muted. Maybe he stepped away for a minute. All right, we'll come back to him. Michelle.
Hi, Michelle. Pronouns are she, her. I live in Lowell's Acre neighborhood. Mitch kind of just stole my Halloween costume thing about our wedding outfits. So my second favorite costume is Mitch and I dressed up as Snake and Revolver Ocelot from Metal Gear Solid. If any of you folks are nerds and know what that is, it's a video game.
Shravon.
Hello everyone, my name is Rayvan Siyoher. I live in Bay Central. To be honest, I don't have kind of favorite costume, but both my daughter, they love pumpkin and ladybug.
Nice. Dan O'Connor.
Is it away from keyboard?
Dan, you are muted. All right. Will, are you there? No. Okay, so that's it for us over on the tech side.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so here in Lowell, we stand on the lands of the following local nations. Sorry, right.
You want me to pull that up or do you have it?
Read this. I have it. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Sorry, I'm reading the longer version of the abbreviated one you see on there. So we must acknowledge that the land in Lowell is that of the Pennacook. However, acknowledging the Pennacook as sovereign of this land is complex and not the entire story. After rampant colonization carried out through genocide, biological warfare, slavery, and other inhumane methods, the Pennacook were no longer present in Lowell by the beginning of the 18th century. This in no way means that there is no longer any Native American presence in Lowell, nor that there hasn't always been. Local indigenous people will refer to themselves as Pawtucket, Abenaki, Wamasett, or even Pennacook, indicating the long and intricate history of this place. This is a place where multiple indigenous peoples over time have called their home. Massachusetts is unique in its indigenous history, known as one of the first places where colonizers settled in North America. This also means that this was one of the first places where indigenous people were confronted with colonial violence. The current Native American population in Massachusetts, including here in Lowell, is a testament to the resilience of the indigenous people, as well as their venerated connection to the land here. Only when we acknowledge this land and its history properly are we able to understand an adequate method of recovering from an unjust past. This is why we begin with this statement. We ask you all to educate yourself further on the indigenous presence and contributions to Lowell, or wherever you consider your home. It is not the burden of those indigenous populations to educate us and earn our respect. We are living on land that was stolen, and by educating ourselves and connecting with our local indigenous groups and organizations, we together can work on creating a more equitable and realistic community that works for us all. With this acknowledgement, we hope that these facts will be influential and present in our working towards a better reality. So, sorry, I'm just waiting for a pop-up to go away. Thank you. Really quickly, what is Solidarity Lowell? Solidarity Lowell is a volunteer group of Greater Lowell community members working towards social justice by defending the rights, dignity, and equality of all against hate and discrimination. We welcome new members. The SL Coordinating Committee is your elected team of volunteers running the meetings, organizing events, disseminating relevant news, and sharing calls to action. SLCC members wait. Coordinating committee elections are held in April.
Amy, Dee joined after we finished introductions. You want to call on her?
Okay, yeah, sure. Dee, did you want to introduce yourself and the usual pronouns, where you're from, and your favorite Halloween costume?
No, thank you.
So moving along, Progressive Massachusetts. Solidarity Lowell is a chapter of Progressive Mass, a statewide member-driven grassroots organization committed to fighting for a vision of shared prosperity, racial and social justice, good government, and environmental sustainability in Massachusetts. Visit progressivemass.com or contact us after the meeting to learn more. Okay. So Merrimack Valley Project, Solidarity Lowell is also a Merrimack Valley Project affiliate. Merrimack Valley Project works towards improving quality of life in the Valley communities by organizing to save and create jobs of dignity and decent wages, to bring about reinvestment and economic revitalization, to save and create affordable housing, and to identify and pursue other issues related to the welfare of the Valley. And you could learn more about MVP by going to merrimackvalleyproject.org. Don't think I ever noticed how much there was to say at the beginning of these meetings. Okay, now we're moving on to one of the high points here, victories. We like to start our meetings with some victories. So we have a few here to start with. UMass Lowell professor Christine Monticello Leader received a $3.4 million grant from the U.S. Department of Education to improve bilingual teacher education in parts of Massachusetts that include Lowell and Lawrence. About 800 armed service members who received dishonorable discharges under the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy were reissued honorable discharges by the Department of Defense. That's a good one. They could do more. A Walmart warehouse in Mississauga, Ontario, which is near Toronto, became the first Walmart location to unionize in Canada. Okay, so who has anything positive they'd like to share? I'm gonna look around in the room and I see Ron.
Reports are coming in from all over the country of record turnout at the polls for early voting. Everywhere. Everywhere.
Nice. Okay,
John
anyone-
Grosky has his hand up.
okay.
The two victories I can report on. One is that approximately 3,000 Boston University graduate workers ratified their first union contract a week or two ago, making substantial gains in pay. As you know, graduate workers do a lot of the work in a university and don't get paid very much and get pushed around a lot by the university. They now have a union contract with protections, better pay, better parental leave, and things like that. And secondly, the two houses in our legislature have reached agreement on a climate bill. The legislative session formally ended in July, but doesn't finally end until early January. And the pressure that was put on them caused them to finally reach agreement. And most of the climate activists like the bill. It addresses a lot of some of the problems that we have with using natural gas in this state for heating. It allows the utilities to switch over to clean energy. Because they're heavily regulated, laws need to be changed to allow them to make money selling things like geothermal. And it basically will help start us on the path to having clean sources of heat in Massachusetts, as well as streamlining the permitting system needed to build out the electric infrastructure. That hasn't passed the legislature yet, so I'll get to announce it again in next month's victories, but most people expect that it will.
Great, yeah, fingers crossed.
Over here.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
Brian.
We had what I would declare pretty successful turnout for Canvas today. This is the first time that I organized a Canvas, and we had like 6 people there. We did some good work.
Yeah. That is fantastic.
What was your turf?
I was well, I think I was planning to do it in the acre. We ended up in Bellevue.
Lower Bellevue.
So,
Yeah.
Mm.
Amy, I have a
Great.
couple. This past weekend, 2 weekends ago, the Greater Lowell Interfaith Leadership Alliance, Galila, attended 2 invitations. The first one was from the Native American community for their Harvest Festival, which was held in the Tingsboro clearing in the woods in Tingsboro. We were welcomed there. We were 5 of us in attendance, and had a wonderful experience sharing in that opportunity, which is open to the public. And secondly, the Islamic Society of Greater Lowell had their open house, and Caroline Snow and Frank Baskin and myself represented the Galila group at that open house.
Oh, great.
So we're hoping to strengthen the ties between the Galila group and these two new contacts that we've made.
Yeah. Great. Do you have anybody online, Marissa?
Nope, no one else.
Okay. And, oh, Ron.
Bob reminded me of
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Weekend, not last weekend, the weekend beforehand, there was a powwow in Newton, Massachusetts. And that was nice in and of itself, but Senator Ed Markey showed up and danced with the Native American dancers. It's on film, folks.
Oh.
Nice.
Sure.
All right. We all set? All right. Still no one online, Marissa?
Nope, no one
No.
else.
All right. So yeah, take it away.
Yeah,
Unpacking.
this one's me. So this slide is back because Unpacking Whiteness Introductory Dialogue Group is coming back in January. And if you're not familiar with the program, we help explore racial biases, white supremacy, white privilege, explicit and implicit bias, systemic racism, and microaggressions in a supportive, structured dialogue group. It's 5 sessions, just once a week. It's capped at 10 people. So it's a small, it's a cozy discussion. And then after the dialogue group, attendees are invited to join the ongoing group where we alternate between discussing a book and a film. And you can sign up at bit.ly/UW-signup or email me, marissa@solidaritylowell.com. I ask that you fill out the form though, because that's where I find out everybody's availability, and that's how we'll decide what night of the week it's going to be held. But it'll be on a weeknight evening, usually at 6 or 7.
Okay, so our rapid response team item for this week is sort of an obvious one. We are staring down an extremely important election. Election day is Tuesday, November 5th. So between now and November 4th, there's things that you could be doing. First of all, you can go online. That's sort of a long link. Maybe somebody could pop it in the chat now for us. That'd be great. Or just go online, honestly, and search where do I vote MA, and it'll come up. Or we'll also have it in the meeting notes. So follow that first link. You could find your polling station and just confirm that your status and that you're all set to go. You can also do early voting, and you could follow that second link there, and that's the calendar of the times and locations for early voting in Lowell. If you live in Drake or somewhere else, I'm sure that your town has similar. If you just Google search for it or ask around. And then obviously you can still donate your time and or money. I mean, if the text messages that I'm getting or anything, campaigns are, in need of last minute money and helpers and phone banking and thank you, John, and text banking and everything. So find a candidate you like, reach out, support them in any way that you can. And then November 5th is the big day. So if you didn't early vote, make sure that you vote. Encourage everyone around you to vote. Does somebody need a ride? Talk to your neighbors. Just do everything you can to get them out there to vote. We'll talk about it more in future slides, but something else you can do is also hold signs outside of political locations. Yeah, so that is our big RRT item for the week. If you wanna, sorry, what was the email? RRT@solidarityLowell.com, I think, if you have an item for our weekly newsletter. Okay, thank you. All right. Back ahead. All right. We are having an extra demonstrate, dine, and discuss. Ryan.
Our next demonstrate, dine, and discuss will be on November 1st at 5:30 p.m. Stand out to vote yes on the ballot questions and support our endorsed candidates in the November 5th general election. After the standout, we'll head to a local restaurant. We haven't yet figured out what the restaurant's going to be, but we will take suggestions. We must have vegetarian options, however.
Yes.
If you want to plan or make signs, please contact me, Ryan, at solidaritylowell.com. Amy, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Actually, Ryan O, please, about your get out the vote canvassing. You talked about it briefly, but
Yeah. So we have another session on November, no, wait, November 3rd, is it up there?
Yep.
There it is, yeah, November 3rd from 1 to 3. It is, so it's listed on Mobilize as yes on 2, and so a lot of the people that have shown up have been showing up for yes on 2, and obviously, like, whatever people are there to support is what I like give them space to do. I'm not gonna force anyone to advocate for anything, but within Solidarity Lowell, it's a yes on all 5. So, you know, if people come out and then we can split up and, you know, whatever you're willing to advocate for, we'd love to have you come out.
Okay, great, thank you, Ryan. All right, Felix, can you take this one out, the Emergency Housing Coalition?
Surely. Join us in the coalition effort with Llama, Merrimack. Oh, sorry, that was my bad.
No, that was totally me. Apologies.
Yes, the Emergency Housing Coalition is a coalition effort in Lowell with Llama, Merrimack Valley Project, and Solidarity Lowell to advocate for humane treatment of the unhoused population in Lowell and advocate for affordable housing. We had a meeting recently, a public meeting to like gain ideas. Oh, sorry, there's a hand. Should I?
Just finish up and we'll go to.
No, it's for afterwards, sorry.
No, that's all good. But yes, our next meeting is on November 4th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at a location to be determined. We had a meeting about 2 weeks ago to gather ideas for how to get an ordinance to fail in the city hall in city council, because it is proposing like no camping at all in South Common with not even like the possibility of like a fine. They're just going to arrest people and violently remove their stuff without giving them proper resources. So we're trying to get people to prepare for this public hearing on this ordinance, which is November 12th, I believe, at 6:30 p.m. And we really need as many people from the community and especially like key players and community leaders to speak at this hearing, because we need all hands on deck, people speaking from all points of view who live in Lowell and make this town what it is. We will be reaching out also to the unhoused population in Lowell, especially at South Common, to prepare them for possible like implications of being swept, like giving them money or tents or fuel or preparing them a ride if they have somewhere to go. So we will need donations to our mutual aid fund, which you can find at Lowell-Llama on Venmo, or Lowell Llama, all one word, on Cash App. And also, if you're interested in like doing direct aid or getting involved in any other way with this effort that we're doing right now, you're more than free to email me at felixfab62@gmail.com.
Okay, great, thank you, Felix. Oh. Okay. All right, so right, like I started talking about earlier, we are looking for some election day sign holders. So November 5th, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. The polls are open, all of the different polling places in Lowell. It could be yours. Like I know, for example, I vote at the high school, and I still like to vote the day of. I don't know, I like the ritual of it. So I go, I vote, and then I hold signs for an hour or two while I'm there. Or you could do a different one if you want to go to somewhere more populated. Yeah, so if you are free and if you'd like to hold signs again for either our endorsed candidate or yes on any of the ballot questions, let us know. You can email us at contact@solidaritylowell.com. Okay, next, so save the date. So Merrimack Valley Projects has their MICA Awards dinner every year. The last few years it's been virtual, but this is actually going to be in person again this year. And so as a member of MVP, Solidarity Lowell nominates somebody, and this year our nominee is Chris. Yeah, so hold that date. It's Sunday, November 17th, 5 to 8. It's going to be at Northern Essex Community College. And yes, so tickets are $55 each or $400 for a table of 8, but there is some amount of low income and unemployed options. So go to micatickets.org to buy your tickets or contact Marissa at solidaritylowell.com for more information.
Amy, do you want to go to Judith first?
Oh, sure. Sorry, Judith.
That's okay, thanks. I just wanted to let you all know of a canvassing opportunity at GOTV in Pelham, New Hampshire. Lori Trahan is going to be kicking off at Pelham on November 3rd, this Sunday at noon. And the canvas goes from noon to 2:30 at the latest. And it would be great to show, to have some Lowell people there. So I put the Mobilize link in the chat. And also, if you can let me know, I will work on carpooling if we get enough people interested. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, right.
I'm going to be going up to that. I've already got one person in my car. I've got room for 2 or 3 more people if people need carpooling options to go to that.
Thank you, Ron.
No
Okay.
problem.
Great. Yeah, and that's good. Pelham is not far away, but New Hampshire is a bit like a different world. So
Been there about 5 weeks.
very good place to canvas. Okay, thank you for reminding me, Marissa. I can't see the hand raised. Got sidetracked. So yeah, on to Mill City Messaging. That is our postcard writing event that we host. There is no event this year, both because there's the election and not much going on in terms of needs to write a postcard at the moment, and also Lala Books is busy the whole month of November. So we're taking a little hiatus this month, but our next event will be Thursday, December 12th from 6 to 8. Again, it's always the second Thursday, and it's always at Lala Books. Doing a bit of a fun thing. Hopefully, we have a member who is designing Get Out the Vote postcards, but that you can color. So, and she's in need of beta testers to see, you know, the experience, too easy, too hard, how we liked it. So we will be able to beta test coloring some postcards. So that should be fun. So yes, also save that date, December 12th. If you have any questions or topics for the future or anything, contact me, Amy, at solidaritylowell.com. Oh, thank you. Okay, so this is just a brief recap of everything that we talked about all in one slide for you. So we have the next DDD, Demonstrate, Dine, and Discuss, November 1st, 5:30, Ladin Whitney Monument. That's right outside of the City Hall. We will stand out for voter turnout and the ballot questions, and then we will go somewhere nearby for some food afterwards to dine and discuss. Get Out the Vote canvas with Ryan Oates, November 3rd, 1 to 3 p.m. They're meeting at the Donut Shack, 487 Westford Street. The next Lowell Emergency Housing Coalition meeting, excuse me, November 4th, 6:30 to 8, location still TBD. It should be in our weekly newsletter amongst other places, so keep a lookout there. And then November 5th, Tuesday, we have the big election day. Remember to vote. Let us know if you want to hold some signs. Hold your date for the Micah dinner, Sunday, November 17th, 5 p.m., where we honor Chris Offerman. And finally, Mill City Messaging, nothing this month, but December 12th. So keep that date. And then you can see this and more on our website at solidaritylowell.com/home/events. Okay, so Allied Group update and announcements. So this is where you can share important information and upcoming events from any other groups that you might be involved in. So again, I'm going to need Marissa's help for what's online. I'll look around here first and see Ryan.
Yeah, so I'm on the Lowell Sustainability Council. I was talking with Catherine Moses, the Sustainability Director of the city, and she's having a heat pump party. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty intense. December 2nd, and as the details come out, I'll follow up with that.
Nice. Nice. Okay. Anybody online, Marissa?
Oh, wait, John just raised his hand.
Oh, sorry, who did John?
John.
Yeah,
Yeah,
John.
on Tuesday, the city council there will be an informational report about the city's aggregated electricity supply program.
Mm.
And Lowell is a leader in Massachusetts in promoting green energy through its electric supply, because we buy when Lowell buys electricity supply for Lowell ratepayers, they purchase a lot more clean energy credits than is required by the state. That's something the city council decided to do some years back after a lot of advocacy from 350 Mass and many of you and others. The program is continuing again, and they've adjusted it somewhat. So there are tiers now. If you don't want to pay the full freight, you can purchase less clean energy, but this is one way in which our not always very progressive city is acting in a progressive fashion and dealing with problems such as climate change. And anybody who wants to come and support that program on Tuesday is more than welcome.
Can I ask a follow-up on that? What is 350 Mass in general? Like, how do you all feel about that switch? Because I know originally it was like the entire aggregate would pay go like the plus 45% of what the state requires, but now they're having these like tiers where it's like you're automatically in the plus 45, but like there might be a plus 5, which is like a lot less green energy, but it's also maybe an opportunity for people who can't afford to pay as much. Like, I don't know, what's 350 Mass's take on that?
If I can respond, we don't have an official statement. I think we have some mixed feelings. It's obviously better if the default option for everybody is 45%, and nobody has to participate and purchase the city through the city. You can purchase it through private vendors or through National Grid basic plan, and low-income people get the low-income electric rate anyway. But so we would prefer, I think, all things considered, that we keep it at 45% for everybody, but 45% is the default rate. So what the tiers do is allow people who find that really difficult, if they take a look at it and think about it and click in the right place, they can switch it down to a lower rate, and that might help maintain the program over the long run. So there's sort of different opinions floating around. You also can opt up to 100%. The experience that I've heard about is people generally don't opt down or up. Most people don't pay that close attention. And 45% is still the default rate.
I have a question about this. Jonathan, I recently heard, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, that when people move in Lowell, and when people open new electrical accounts at an address, that they are not being signed up in default into the aggregate, that they're being defaulted into the ordinary National Grid, being an ordinary National Grid customer. Is that true?
I've never quite figured out how that works myself. But it can be true that if you change your address, certainly possible that you're not part of the program. It's very easy to sign up for the program. It's a click. So that is an issue we should probably figure out how to address, if it's possible to address it. But if anybody is not sure, they can go there and see and make sure they're in it. I put the link in the chat where you could go.
Thank you.
I don't actually know, Joe, the answer, how exactly that works.
Felix has his hand up.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I have just a quick announcement about Llama Lifting Llewellyn's Assistance and Mutual Aid. I would like just this group to know if anyone has availability at the last Sunday of every month. We're really intending to do more food distribution, especially as it gets colder outside. And if you have the capacity to cook or bring hot meals, transport hot meals to like South Common or honestly where and maybe even a new space where homeless people may end up after being swept. We would really appreciate that. And once again, my email's in the chat if you're interested in doing free store and free food.
So on the same day as the Micah dinner, November 17th, Sunday at 5, in the afternoon, the Greater Lowell Interfaith Leaders Galila, the red disc there on the screen, is having its annual fall Thanksgiving interfaith service. It's going to be right here at Drake at CCU on the 3rd floor. And there'll be, you know, a light buffet and music and sharing around, and an opportunity to donate to one of the food pantries in the area. It could be doors open at 2:45, service starts at 3 o'clock. And for those trying to attend both events, the first one ends at 4:30 to give you time to get to Haverhill for 5 o'clock. That would be in your car.
Great. All right. Anybody else online, Russell? No? Okay. Very good. Thank you all. Okay, let's get to our feature speaker. William Rosenberry is the new Director of Elections and Census for the City of Lowell. Prior to joining the city in August, he had worked for the Secretary of the Commonwealth's Elections Office since 2006. Lastly, as an Elections Service Manager, and established himself as a leading expert in municipal and state elections across the Commonwealth. So, welcome, Will. Do you have slides that we should switch over to, or will you just be speaking?
No, I apologize. No, I was planning to attend in person until the last minute here, so I do not have any slides here. Thank you very much for having me. My name is William Rosenberry. I am the new elections director for the city here. I also live here in Lowell. I live in Ward 3. I guess I'll give you a little bit of an update on the office and the progress so far with the presidential election being just right around the corner here. And I apologize. I was at work all day and I recognize some of you as poll workers too. So I thank you for coming out. Victoria, you were there all day. I see you on there. So where are we at? We have over 12,000 ballots out in the mail to voters here in Lowell. I apologize, you don't have exact figures here. About 7,000 or more than 7,000 are back in our office. And at this rate, we had, didn't actually get the number today. I had to leave a little early, but we've been having more than 200 people or about 200 people a day early vote at City Hall. Even on our short day yesterday, we had about, I think it was 145. So we've had about 1,600 people in person early vote thus far. We still have a long ways to go. We're going to start advanced processing ballots this week. And that would include separating them from their envelopes. These are mail-in and in-person ballots that we've received thus far. We're going to start tabulating those, in fact, on Friday, as part of our pre-election tabulation process. And we're well on our way here. I want to remind folks about unofficial results coming out on the election night. Those will just include those pre-tabulated ballots and election night returns. Ballots that we receive on election day, we're going to include as part of our post-election tabulation. The law allows ballots received after a certain point, and also those postmarked by election day and received up until Friday, November 8th, to be received by mail and tabulated. And we are going to be holding election day returns that either come by Dropbox or mail to include as part of our post-election tabulation, which I expect that to occur November 12th, right after the Veterans Day holiday. The election will be certified to the Secretary of State's office November 20th, no later than that. So I don't really have an agenda here. I kind of wanted to just open it up to questions. That's where we're at with the office. I think we're going to be successful. we do have a lot of work ahead of us. We've had great, again, great turnout with our early voting, and had a great time. I've probably spent more time at City Hall since I came on August 1st than I have at home. But I'm enjoying the job, and I think I can just kind of open it up here to any questions or concerns that anybody might have here.
Caroline?
Hi, I have a quick question. Who is
Sure.
in charge of the electronic signage, and the electronic signs in Lowell?
The electronic signs in the sense of, so DPW, I think you're referring to like the flashing road signs that are placed out.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, those are DPW signs.
Okay. Because I was just wondering, is there a way for the election department to have signs like that? Because right now it says that they're looking for plow drivers, and it just seems like a wasted opportunity since they don't have anything to do with, like they're not advertising that there's an election. And I
Sure.
know
Yeah.
this was an issue 2 years ago as well. So this has been an
Okay.
ongoing issue.
So I was prior to the primary. I know the DPW did deploy them prior to the primary, reminding people to vote in the primary. Those will be switched over to a message about voting in the election very soon. You know, I don't think that there is a budget for the elections division to have flashing road signs per se. That is something that DPW allows us to have a message on there as a courtesy. And I'll be speaking to the commissioner about getting that message up soon about the election day. But I don't think elections has a sign like that, but those will be changed to an election day message soon.
Okay, we
We have Judith online too, so I don't know who was first.
well, Ryan had his hand raised.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just gonna ask, you mentioned that you had like 200 voters in a day. How does that compare to previous elections, just out of curiosity?
I'm trying to think. Sorry, I'm not in the office with all my notes here. I'm zooming in from home. It's pretty steady. I mean, if we're looking at having over 2,000 or maybe even 3,000 people early vote, it is hard to gauge things in a sense, because this is the first post-pandemic election in which we both have in-person early voting as well as the full vote by mail. I want to say that we are definitely trending higher than any of the most recent elections, being the municipal election last year, or the state primary. I believe when I checked the 2022 state election, I believe we only had 1,000 people in-person early vote. So we are trending way beyond that. The in-person early voting in 2020, I believe, was much higher. 16 was very high, it being the first time there not being any vote by mail. This is a chance to kind of get some good data, sort of now that we're in a normal phase here, on both the vote by mail as well as the in-person.
Thank you.
Judith?
I will. Good to see you. I was
Hi.
wondering if the city might be employing putting out the sandwich board or A-frame type signs that used to go out on street corners notifying
Yeah,
of the
Judith,
election.
that's a great question. I'm gonna have to. I recall seeing those around in the city in past elections, and I am not sure whose those are. I do have sandwich boards, which I believe are intended for the precincts on election day. But let me dig into that, because I do recall seeing one down here by on Rogers Street. Yeah.
Yeah, we
in some
used to
past
have one
elections.
at the corner of like Plain and
Yeah.
Chelmsford Street and
Yeah.
various places.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to research who has those. I might reach out to a former election director, something like that. But let me track those down. Yeah. Thank you for that reminder,
Appreciate
Judith.
it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Question. Amy, who's doing?
You both raised your hand at the same time. Well, Paul, why don't you go? You're already talking. Go for it.
I will. I brought in some
new voter registrations. We had a
Yes.
church over 2 weekends, which I was very proud that we got that many. Can you describe how a new voter is notified and what, what's in the letter that says we received your registration and?
Sure. So they are notified by mail in what's called an acknowledgement notice. That acknowledgement notice does confirm that they are registered to vote. It does also confirm it informs them of what their polling location is for election day. If somebody is flagged to show identification, okay, and some of the voters that you may have registered will be flagged to show identification because they are first-time registered voters who are registering by mail, and a copy of their identification was not included. So the law does require those folks to be notified. We are, so the voter registration deadline was this past Saturday at 5 p.m. for any in-person registrations. Mail-in forms still have some time to come in. The postmark is the effective date on mail-in registration forms. Anybody who's flagged to show ID will be receiving the notification. What I was getting at here is we today and yesterday completed the queue. We had actually poll workers. We've had poll workers assist with the mailing out of these notices. So any voters that had met the deadline of October 26th should be receiving their acknowledgement notices in the mail this week, is my expectation. We'll be putting them in tomorrow's mail, thanks to the help.
Do
of
they
poll
have
workers.
time to get them?
I would expect them to, these are going to be kept locally in-house. I think we're going to get a 2-day delivery on these, so they should have ample time to receive these notices.
And if they're mailed in without showing an ID and they show up at the polls, do they get a provisional ballot if they don't have their license with them that day?
So it's not just a license, okay? A suitable identification
with
is
your
any printed
address.
material. Sorry. So, okay. Suitable identification is any printed material really with the voter's name and address on it, such as a utility bill, a rent receipt, a copy of a lease or housing assignment for a student, or even a copy of actually the acknowledgement notice that they receive in the mail. If they register to vote in person, it'd be a copy of the receipt that we give them there in person. And I'm sorry, your question was specifically about the not what was required, but
if they don't,
if they do not have identification, yes, their ballot would be treated as a provisional ballot. They would have to provide suitable identification to us by the provisional ballot resolution deadline, which is let me just think about this being an election. I'm going to have to review that deadline, actually. I can't think of it offhand. It's much shorter for a primary. It's 3 days for a primary. I believe it's longer for the election. But they have some time to supply that identification and make sure that their ballot is counted. They could, in fact, return to the polling place later that afternoon or evening and show identification and cast that ballot, in fact.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and then Joe, you.
Thank you.
Thanks. If ballots are mailed in Lowell to Lowell, do they go out of Lowell for processing or do they stay in the city? You know?
So they do. So the post office has put in what are called extreme measures, and that is essentially extra personnel, making sure that their business reply mail clerks are fully staffed. Those are the ones that that's a process, the business reply mail, which is what ballots are. Unfortunately, though, the ballots do go to Boston for sorting, which is less than ideal. It is, however, it does ensure that they all get a postmark, which is required for counting the ballots that are received after election day. So again, ballots postmarked by election day. But it does add an extra level of processing. Now they are coming and going every day. Of course, if I bring ballots to the post office, even as late as 6:30 p.m. They are in Boston that night. It's a 24-hour operation. They are en route to Boston, like the next, I mean, back to Lowell within the next business day or so. So it doesn't add substantial time. I think there were some delays in the beginning when we were all mailing ballots. You know, I think the secretary, I heard him on the radio saying over a million ballots in the mail out to voters. We did observe it seeming to be a delay in voters getting their ballots now, but actually now recently, they seem to be speeding up. I've been seeing 2-day delivery on most things. Most of our other mail, though, is not necessarily sent to Boston for that sorting, but the ballots, unfortunately, have been going to Boston.
Vic has her hand up. Does anyone else have their hands up there?
We're here. Vic first.
All right, Vic.
Yeah, and then
I will, long time no see.
Yeah, few hours.
Yeah. I remember we were talking in training about a QR code for people to check if they're where they're supposed to go for their precinct and ward in case it changed. And we talked about maybe putting it in the paper or something so people could do that before they get to.
So this is in anticipation of, a lot of people who come out to vote in this election. And here's one, with all that said and done about all those ballots that we've received coming and going, all the in-person, there's still a long ways to go. And with our new voting equipment and our trilingual ballots, the 3-card ballots with questions 4 and 5, I'm expecting a couple different things here. Number one, this is the first presidential election since we've redistricted, since we re-precincted. So I'm concerned about folks showing up to the wrong polling location, showing up at a polling location that they went to last in the presidential when they voted, because people come out to out in the woodwork to vote in these elections. So Victoria, what we're doing is I have designed, we do have QR codes, and let me reach out to the Lowell Sun and see if we can get something in the paper as well. We do have QR codes. We also have full color maps that the Secretary of State's office assisted us in designing, that will have all the wards and precincts on them, have all of the streets as well. They are large enough that they will show all of the streets in Lowell. They will have the QR code with them. And these maps will actually show the polling locations, where they're located, and what wards and precincts they serve. We'll have those available in every precinct to assist people. At Lowell High, which is sort of a new location, it's in the same place, but it is a new building. We're going to have folks there with poll pads. We don't have a full suite of poll pads to have at every precinct, but at Lowell High and at the Senior Center, greeters with additional poll pads to help people look up their polling place, direct them to the right table if it's at Lowell High or the Senior Center, direct them to the right precinct in the city. One of the good things is with those poll pads now that we have in the city, if you do get all the way up to the check-in and you are at the wrong precinct, the poll pad tells you right away. You don't have to go be referred to a book or call City Hall. We're hopeful we're going to have more information up about so that QR code. We're going to ask, and I saw a link here for the Where Do I Vote polling place lookup tool. I guess maybe you had a discussion earlier. I would encourage folks not to direct people to that. It is a
Will, you're breaking up.
Or are we breaking up?
Or are we breaking?
But
I think it's on his end.
Marissa, okay.
Yeah.
like Lowell.
Uh-oh.
Folks
You try turning it off and on again?
to move around and do not register to vote at their new address. We have a lot of people register at their old address, and you can vote if you move within the city. Okay, notice it doesn't verify your registration. You might be looking at. I would encourage folks to verify their registration and see their polling. I'm sorry, say that again.
Sorry,
I would encourage people, and I don't know that there's a it's sort of the catch-all for the Secretary of State. Share it for voter lookup here.
Ooh.
We're
Sorry, was somebody saying back up?
Well, so we lost you for a while and then it was almost like it caught itself up and you were talking really fast. And so
Oh.
you started blipping out when you were saying not to go to that, where do I vote MA?
Oh, yes. Okay. So the issue with that is in Lowell, a lot of folks are registered to vote at an address that is not necessarily their current address. Okay. So with where do I vote? I would encourage people to go to the voter lookup tool, and that's what we're going to make available on the QR code at the polling locations, so that people can see the current address where they are registered to vote. A lot of people just tend to believe that they're registered their current address, and there's not a problem that you can vote from an old address within the city indefinitely. So if you move within Lowell, you can vote from an old address indefinitely in theory. If you are an active voter, we would update you to the new address after the election or give you the opportunity to register at the new address. Otherwise, if you are a Massachusetts registered voter and you move from one Massachusetts municipality to another, and you haven't registered to vote at the new address, you could return to vote at your old address for up to 6 months from the election. But so that's why I would encourage people to be doing the voter lookup tool as opposed to the where do I vote MA.com.
Makes sense.
And then I was
Yep.
blind.
Judith had her hand up, but she put it down. Did you still have a question, Judith?
Marissa,
Yeah,
Ron
I
was for
do
Brian.
have a
Then we'll go to
question.
Judith.
Sorry, I guess
Sorry.
Ron had his hand up first. Give us a sec, Judith.
Yeah,
Sorry, I had a follow-up question about the mail, Will. My understanding is that ballots are sent in the US mail at a special high priority. Is that true?
Yes, they are given a super high priority. There's special green tags that they go with. I mean, I drive up to the back door of the post office. They're put in bins and essentially loaded on a truck. So, furthermore, there's a lot of bad press about the post office. I think very highly of the post office. They're very responsive. In a sense, maybe they're treating me special because I've come from the state. I have some very good contacts over there, but they are given special priority. The post office goes out of their way to make sure that things get delivered. To almost a forensic level. They will reach out with, this level, things occur, okay? Ballots get caught in machines and ripped on occasion, for instance, or labels come off. They come separated from envelopes. Things happen at this volume. The post office is very thorough. They'll come to you with little scraps of paper, and we'll try and figure out whose ballot it is. So yes, the post office ballots are treated specially, even devoid of postage. A lot of voters slip them in the mail stream without the white ballot return envelope. Post office still delivers those. So anything that has that election mail indicia, even if there's no postage, they will deliver it. So the post office, they bend over backwards and extreme measures are in place. It's something that they do in advance of every election, bulk up in personnel and, and the green tags do help so that they're identified as such visually in the plants.
great. Okay, now Judith, thank you.
Okay, this may seem like a weird little question. I brought it up at a city council meeting and I got eye rolls in response to the question. But I had been working the polls just after the voting locations changed. And I saw a woman, I was waiting till the end so I could get the results. And I saw a woman, or I saw an SUV start to come down towards the Bailey School and then turn around when she got to the sign that says do not enter. And it does have school hours on there, but it says do not enter. And she turned around and left. Then I saw her come back 15 minutes later and she proceeded and she said, do I vote here? And I said, where do you live? And I said, yeah, you vote here. And they came and locked the door. So
And
when
this
the
was
voting,
yep.
it was at the Bailey School, and
Okay.
I had always, and all of us were always used to voting at the Daily School. And suddenly, this one year, we had to go to the Bailey School, and she just didn't. She probably doesn't vote all the time, and I know a lot of people will come out for presidential voting that don't come any other time. And if you encounter a sign like that, and it has little, in here between these hours, you may not know that that's about that. So I went to the city council and suggested that we make little sacks. We could just put them over the signs for that day only, So people
Okay.
wouldn't encounter them and their eyes all rolled, but I'm just throwing it out there as I know that it stopped at least one person from voting.
Yeah, I mean, so
Mm.
that's so polling place infrastructure is something I'm interested in enhancing in this city. Many of our precincts have these plywood booths, and we have them deployed at City Hall. You know, they're sort of unsightly. I think some of our signage is lacking. I'd like to have more infrastructure, better apparatus, more equipment. So I'm open to signage like that. I mean, that sounds like it's a do not enter, like a traffic sign that I couldn't. I'd have to talk to public safety or but absolutely, Lowell High location this year, I went out and bought balloons for the primary. I'm going to do it again for the election. It's a new location. If I can manage it, I'll try and have balloons at every location, at least try tied to those wedge boards that we have out there. So polling place infrastructure would require an investment from the city. You know, right now the budget is set, essentially having come on in August. But it's a conversation I've been having since I came on about trying to improve signage and just equipment that we have at the polling places.
Okay, even if we didn't cover those do not enter signs, I understand that might be a problem, although I volunteered to make the fabric covers that could go over them.
Okay.
But a vote here today would be helpful.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Second, by the way, as a precinct warden, I validate everything Judith just said. I've seen the same behavior. So second.
Yeah, that's my neighborhood up there, and my kids went to those schools, and there are a number of do not enter signs on the blocks around there to create a certain traffic patterns in the morning. So I think those all near the Daily, and the Bailey would have to be checked.
Yeah, now the Bailey School with a B
Yep.
is no longer being used as a location.
Right.
We're entirely at the Daily now.
But there are still not enter signs posted for use at the Bailey School that people
Okay.
would see on their way.
I mean, I'd have to check that out. I mean, I know that I think at the Rogers School, you only enter one way. I mean, I think that these are traffic decisions that might be outside of my control. That at some point the election commission or the city council decided to start using the schools exclusively. I don't currently have a halls budget for alternative locations, but I will take a look at these traffic issues. I'm just concerned that I don't control the traffic in the city necessarily, but the polling places to some extent I do. So.
Ryan?
I've heard reports that some persons have been discouraged from working the polls because they can't do a full 14 hours, either because of physical or time commitment reasons. Is there any possibility in the future of letting people work a half day?
So come the new year, the reset button is hit on poll workers entirely. I've got to have a conversation with the mayor about reappointing everybody in the new year. Split shifts is something that my counterpart in Chelmsford does and some other cities and towns do. It's something I'm open to. It is a whole nother level of logistics that my office would, of course, have to manage. The upcoming municipal election might be a good time for us to try and pilot something like that. My mother's a poll worker in Chelmsford. They work the split shift. A few of our poll workers have also worked in Chelmsford. So it seems beneficial. I think, and I think to your point, I think we could probably attract some more people with that. I've got to talk to the city council. They're in charge of appropriating the pay. So with the reset button needing to be hit in the new year, that's something that I'm going to be looking at, is that split shift for poll workers.
Cool, thank you.
Joe?
Yeah, something that's been an issue for me since I moved to the city. I used to live downtown. The downtown polling place is often moved As there's construction in the high school and stuff, and just over the years, it has frequently been put in different locations. And even when it isn't being moved, it's often been in a place like the cafeteria of the freshman academy, where you can't even actually see the door from the street, and it's like hard to actually find where it is. And a signage plan for the downtown polling location, I really think ought to be a priority. This has been an ongoing issue for a couple of decades, ever since I moved here. It's in obscure locations and it gets moved.
And you're talking specifically about the Lowell High,
Yeah.
Okay.
A Lowell High polling place is often it's often been moved, and it's often in a place where the door isn't like on the street, and it's clear where it is. So that's one with a signage plan.
Right, and that's why I put balloons there in the primary.
What's that?
Balloons.
And that's why I deployed balloons there in the primary on the traffic island on Father Morissette. So I also share, also have concerns about the Lowell High location as it is now. Notably, not only is it very far set back from the street, although it's not that bad. I mean, it is an accessible location. Enhanced signage could definitely improve it there. I do think that the balloons enhance things there, as ridiculous as it sounds. But the setbacks there are, for a humongous space, there's very little power in there. Unfortunately, the decision to use Lowell High for this election does predate my arrival. We are going to probably be looking at alternatives going forward. So unfortunately, that downtown location could be changing. I'm going to try and have a conversation with the schools about if there's a more suitable portion of Lowell High School, if the gym would be better. But the cafeteria, we're going to make it work for this election. It's very spacious, but it requires a lot of finagling with power. They do not have a lot of outlets in there. So, unfortunately, perhaps stay tuned for another change. I believe in the past, the Songus Arena had been used for that location as an alternative. My understanding is that it was well received. I don't currently have a hall rental budget, but that's something I'll be looking at examining in the new fiscal if I need to have a hall budget to find locations that are not schools. The issue is the schools are free. So that's probably part of the reason the decision was made there.
I think the Masonic Hall was used one time.
I
I
understand that to be, yes, I believe that is correct. That is a place that would require a rental fee. But I'm not opposed to it. So just a matter of asking for money.
Marissa, is there anybody online?
Nope.
Schedule.
Wait, Strayvon just raised her hand.
Yeah, I think I just mentioned about like you already talk about the low high. I'm a part of parent low high before, but like the new low high construction seem like some parents, some voter not really like family, even though the same place, but seem like they all kind hard to get that, and also like the low high not really open for public to make like a voter know exactly where the way to get to the new place. I think if they put voter on the gym might be easy for people get to access in that because it's close to the street, and also like most of voter they have their own kid to participate and for sport their family at that place.
Yeah, I hear. So you're saying they're might be more familiar with the gym than the calf per se.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, I mean, the address and the location of the cafeteria is substantially the same. I think it's 150 feet closer to Arcan Drive than it was with the old Lowell High School building. I did briefly step foot. It is a long walk up to that the entrance to the gym. From Arcan Drive, there's quite a long distance to get to the entrance to the gym. If I'm thinking of the right entrance, and I forget if you have to go down a hallway there before you enter the gym. But I'm here. I came on with concerns about Lowell High. The primary, it will work as a location. There's plenty of room. It's the power. It is that sort of strange setback entrance. Parking is very limited, although you could park at the garage, and we have the validator over there. And in the primary, the fire department did like fire testing. They all pulled up out front with sirens going. So I don't know how much longer we'll be using Lowell, at least the Lowell High School cafeteria on 55 the Morissette as it is right now.
Okay, looks like we're all set in here. Anybody online, Marissa?
Nope. Last call for questions. Anyone?
Anyone?
Bueller?
Great. Yeah,
All right.
well, looks like we're right at time. Yeah, thank you very much, Will.
All right, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right.
Great. Okay, let's just wrap up real quick here. So our next meeting will be Sunday, November 24th, 5:30 p.m. Our topic will be about electing a more progressive city council for 2025. Yeah.
Finish the election.
Yeah. Well, we're starting early, getting a handle on it. So TBD location, if we'll be doing hybrid like tonight or just Zoom only, we sort of base it on the COVID numbers.
Amy, John has his hand up.
Oh, John.
Yeah, just on the next meeting, the speaker that we're having is somebody that was sort of the architect of putting together a progressive slate in Medford, which was successful or largely successful, not entirely. And I've heard him speak before. He's got a really interesting idea of how one could organize that. So I think if anything, we're starting a little late, not early. And I was pretty impressed. So I would encourage others to come if you can.
I had a question.
Great.
on that.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, Ryan.
Is it incorruptible mass by chance?
They know about them, but it's not them. It's
Okay.
it's a Medford group.
Okay.
And
Cool.
but the ideas, I'm sure are similar to what other groups are doing, but he gets very specific about how to go about it.
Yeah, side note, we actually had a speaker from Incorruptibles. How many
Anna
years ago?
Callahan, it was way before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, no, yeah, and they were great. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to the speaker as well. So again, yeah, so TBD whether we'll be hybrid or Zoom only, so keep an eye on your email. Just look over and I see Marissa's Cal. Great, thank you. So I think our next slide, if Nikita lets Marissa do it, there we go. All right. Yes, we love Nikita too, so. Join us online. We have our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/solidarityLowell. That's our public page. There's less on there. There's some photos and things and public events, but not everything. If you want to get everything in the discussion, completely discussion and all of our events and everything, that's facebook.com/groups/solidaritylowell. We have our website, solidaritylowell.com, which we've been updating. It's getting there. We have a calendar of events and everything now. We are on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at solidaritylowell.com or at solidaritylowell. And again, we have a YouTube channel, and also our meetings are being broadcast on LTC, YouTube channel at Solidarity Lowell. So thank you all for joining us and hope to see you next month. And if Marissa could stop recording.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Felix. Marissa, I don't think recording stopped.
I'm clicking and it's not stopping for some reason. Stop recording. I don't know what's wrong.
like 14 chat messages there.
Okay, there, no, it still didn't stop.